you're having a great day today. It is a new day today. I hope that your day is going well. My day is going well. It's just busy. So that's why I'm going to share with you today 3 soups that you can make in 20 minutes or less in your home. They don't require any fancy ingredients. They are things that you hopefully have on hand in your pantry, in your freezer. They are just quick, go-together soups. And so we like them when the weather is getting a little bit cooler outside, even though it's not very cool in Florida here. But there's still that comforting, warm soup. We've been making these same 3 soups for years. Well over 20 plus years in our family, and we enjoy them all. Everybody likes them. They're simple and easy. Now you can fancy them up a little bit. You can have more fresh ingredients. You can do things and add, a little bit extra spices or whatever you want to do, but these are just ones that maybe, you don't have a lot of money. Maybe you're really tight on your budget, isn't everybody right now? And you're trying to think of an economical way to feed your family. Soup is a great way for that. You can pair any of these with some crackers on the side. Crackers are cheap. Or get some bread, maybe some bread that's discounted down, or make your own bread and serve it with these. And that's just a great way to help stretch that family budget, because we all need to stretch that family budget a little bit, don't we? We do. So for this day, I had 20 minutes to make the soups, and that's it. And then I just need to let it cook and simmer on the stove. But I got it all done. It was real quick. The key to getting things done faster is making it in bulk. And then you can also freeze them. So a lot of these soups that you can put in little containers and freeze them, little deli plastic containers. Show you right here. Put them in here and put them in your freezer. And you know what? You've got soup for the month, for the next 2 months, for the next 3 months if you want in your freezer. And you will not have to cook. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So let's start making soup. Are you ready? All right, let's go. So for all the soups, the base is going to have onion in all of them. Now, if you do not have fresh onions, and sometimes you might not, just use dried minced onions. Nothing wrong with that. Even if you just had onion powder, that would work as well too. We just have onions. I get a big bag of them at Sam's Club, so I have a whole bunch in my refrigerator. Yes, we have to keep our stuff in the refrigerator here in Florida, otherwise it goes bad. But what you do is just cut up a bunch, and then you'll be able to use them for your soups. So what I'm doing is utilizing my time. I'm going to do the majority of the stuff that has to get done real quick here, and then that way I can kind of spread it out and not have, like cut veggies for one and then cut veggies for another. Just doing it all at once, and then you have it. So chop these up. If you have frozen onions on hand, use those. That's a great way to use it. Or, even a better time saver, cut up a bunch of onions at once in your food processor and then stick it on a cookie sheet to flash freeze it. Put it in your freezer, and then you just pull it out when you need it. Yeah, that would save you a whole lot of time. But I'm just going to chop these up here. Chop as best I can here. I'm telling you what, putting your onions in the refrigerator helps to cut down on the oils in the onions so that you're not crying like I did not cry cutting these onions up. And for soups, I'm going to just put 3 pots on my stove. I'm using a bigger one for the one that most people are going to eat out of, smaller one for the smaller size version, obviously, and a medium size one for the other soup. Do whatever size you would use in your family. If you only have 1 pot, you might have to make it in multiple pans, or you can just, wash it and do it in the same one. So, and then you're going to take some butter here. I'm using margarine. Yep, margarine is cheaper right now than butter because butter is costly. So you got to do what you got to do right now. So I'm going to take and put in a half a stick in each of these pans right here. And then I'm going to turn them on so that it can start melting. Always make sure that you have the right burner on. I always turn the back one on accident here on the burner. Just make sure they're good. And I decided to switch these pots around because the burner is smaller in the front versus the back one. Okay, then I've got all these onions. So all I'm going to do is take a handful and stick them in here. As you can see, I added another stick of butter in the one because I decided I'm going to have a lot of veggies in this one, more than the other 2. And then just put some in there, using it up in here. I'm actually saving a little bit of the onion there because I'm going to be using it for another meal later this week. And then for each of these, if you just want to season it, put some salt and pepper in here. Real simple. Sprinkle it in. Doesn't have to be exact. It's probably half a teaspoon in each one. It'll just help bring out that flavor in those onions. And then meanwhile, go back while this is cooking and clean up your mess that you did with your cut up onions, and then you'll be good to go. I'm putting the rest of mine here into a container because we're going to be having them for dinner. It's going to be on hot dogs, actually. So clean up your dishes as you're going. That helps on your time frame too. Then you don't have this overwhelming mess to clean up when you are done. So now I didn't have any fresh garlic on hand. I like to do garlic flavor in here. So I just used dried garlic that we got. I do like to get the big garlic bulbs and then do a whole bunch at one time and process it and put it in my freezer, but I didn't, and that's okay. And then I had some chives in a spice container, just using them up. It tastes good. I just needed to add it in here. So look in your spice cupboard, look for flavors that would enhance your soups. And then we're just gonna give it a little bit of a stir. This is gonna cook up real quick. You can multitask and get all of these done at once. It'll be delicious, delicious soup. Okay, then while that is frying over there, I'm over here real quick, hurriedly cutting up potatoes. Potatoes, yes. I found that peeling potatoes with a knife is a whole lot faster than using the potato peeler. Have my whole life. There might be a little bit more left on the potato, like the skin, but it's something I've done for my entire life. I started trying to do it with the peeler and I was like, ugh, that just takes way too long. Way too long. I don't mind having the extra. Plus, if you have a little bit of yuck on the potato, there was one potato here that had a little bit, I was able to cut it off really easy. And then I'm just slicing it up real quick. Slice one way, slice the other way. And then it's like you've got your little tiny cubes for your potatoes. You can also use frozen potatoes. I've also used like hash brown potatoes. They just get a little bit more smushy in here. I've done it with canned diced potatoes as well. I said tomatoes, didn't I? Potatoes as well, and that is fine and works good, but it's just fresh ones, they stay a little bit more sturdier and have a little bit more form, and it just works a little bit better. But it doesn't take too long. Chop it up, get your big knife out and chop across for all the big giant chunks that you missed during that. And then stir your stuff. It's cooking away, doing really good. That back one was starting to stick. I was like, ooh, don't stick on the bottom of the pan. So what I'm gonna do in the back here is gonna be a potato soup. So I'm gonna add my potatoes to this. And then you wanna add enough water or liquid broth. Now I'm gonna be using powdered broth to it because it's cheaper, but you can just add enough water to cover the potatoes. That's what we're gonna do here. And then you can, like I said, you can do the chicken broth to it, but I'm gonna be adding it in the Knorr powder form. It's cheaper, and that's what we have on hand. The front one here, we are going to add some flour. I added about a stick of butter, so about a half a cup of butter in there. You just wanna absorb all of that butter. So when you're stirring it, you can kind of see it here. Look at how it's all absorbed. No liquid, that's what you wanna have, because that is gonna be your thickener for that soup. And then you're gonna add your water in here. And start stirring around. You don't have to do too much in here because this kind of breaks apart. Some soups get clumpy, but this one will actually do really good. And then over here, I'm gonna add some more water to it. And then I'm gonna take, and I have a whole package of broccoli florets I'm gonna put in here. If you have fresh broccoli, go ahead and add that to it, but I did not. So the frozen broccoli heads, we just added in here. We really like a lot of broccoli in our cheesy broccoli soup, so I did that. And then I had some frozen mixed vegetables. I didn't add a ton to it because not everybody loves vegetables in their chicken noodle soup, and that's okay. Put fresh ones in here if you want. This is just what I had on hand, so that is what I'm gonna add to it. Simple, but if you like more, add more. That's the beautiful thing of it. And if you have fresh stuff, go ahead. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of homemade chicken fajita meat. It's all chopped up. I'm just gonna put a little bit in here for our soup. Add some more water to make it get up to the top so I can add my noodles to it. And this is gonna be your chicken noodle. The broccoli one is gonna be a cheesy broccoli, and the one in the back is gonna be a creamy potato soup. Gonna be delicious and yummy. And then here's my chicken bouillon. So I'm adding that in there. Just sprinkle some on top, and then you'll stir it in. It's all chicken based, so easy. And then stir it in and let that come to a boil for all of them. And then when it's coming to a boil, come back over to your counter and start doing your carrots. Here's the carrot peeler on there, like taking off the skin of it. I used to always use a knife, but it does cut away a little bit more of the carrot, but I'm starting to utilize this as I get older. So we cut up a lot of extra because we're using some for just munching and snacking on. Make sure you go back, check your stuff, make sure nothing's burning. Keep your eyes in the back of your head at the same time. And then shred those carrots. We're gonna get those all gone, and then I'm just gonna do a quick cutting up of some of them and then dice them up into little pieces. I have a whole lot. I also like to rinse them off again because I feel like the taste of the skin and the chemicals they put on it, you can kind of taste it. So put them all together, chop those ends off. Do the same thing for the back here, real carefully. Watch your fingers. And then I'm gonna take them and I'm just gonna cut them in half and dice them up. I just found that's a little bit the easiest way to do it. This is going to be for your cheesy broccoli soup. That's the one that we like to add the fresh carrots to. Just gives it a nice little bit of an orange coloring and a little bit of taste into it. So I'm just taking those carrots and I'm just putting them here in my water with my broccoli. It still hasn't come to a boil yet. It's almost there. You can see that steam coming. But basically just cooks the whole thing. Like if you want to do it, you can do it slowly, stir it up, and it doesn't get any chunkier. It doesn't matter. I've done this real quick here in just this short amount of time, and it's cooked really well. So I put the lid on it, but you want to be careful. You're going to have to check it because it will boil over. So put your lids, but be aware of what's happening. Check on it often. That's coming to a boil. That's at a boil, and that's at a boil. So I'm like, okay, very good for that. So for my chicken noodle, we are going to be adding in, I kind of chunked it, use this little meat masher. It's to take those chicken chunks and kind of break them up because we don't really, that way it kind of stretches out the chicken as well. Using the same one in all of them. And this is to break up the broccoli a little bit because we like bigger chunks, but not a ton of them. So you can also use an immersion blender and kind of puree it up and get more of like a smooth consistency in the soup. I like to have chunks in there. It's definitely a whole lot heartier and thicker than like if you went to Panera Bread and got it, but very good. The flavor is just delicious. I've also added gnocchi to this and really, really like that as well. Now I didn't want to smash the potato one because that one, I don't need it smashed down. You can, it makes it a little bit more creamier, but we're going to add something else to it for easy. So then I'm going to take my noodles here and add that into my soup over here for chicken noodle soup. I like the tiny thin ones, like those little fine egg noodles. We do like curly noodles as well added to this, but this one works really good. And just kind of stir it to let it come to a boil. I wanted to add more because I only had a little bit less, and I'm like, surely I can add it. So as it sat there and absorbed, later on that day, the kids are like, Mom, is it just noodles? I said, no, it's soup. And so I had to add a little bit extra broth to it just so it wasn't so thick. Stirry potato soup's looking great. And then what we're going to do is to the potato soup, I'm going to add a can of cream of mushroom soup. This is homemade soup. We keep ours in our freezer. So that is what I put in there. And in the front here is a container of cheddar cheese. It's frozen cheddar cheese. Think of like nacho cheese. At the back, you're going to add a little bit of milk, however much you want to make it creamy. And in the front, we do it creamy as well. I'm doing half and half. It's a little bit thicker. We just like that consistency in here. You can also add shredded cheese to it. It just makes it more, you can see the shreds in there. So when you go to the restaurant and get it, it's smooth and creamy. So I have to assume that they use a cheddar cheese sauce, like the smooth one. Think of like nacho cheese minus the spice. So it works really good. So I'm gonna put the lid in there. Be careful to watch it. It will boil over. I turned it down. This one's got that big chunk in there, but that heat will melt that real quick. And then I was like, ooh, what else can I add in here? So you can also add in paprika. It helps the color a little bit, and it's a nice little addition to the soup. Then give it a good stir, and then we will let that sit. It's gonna cook up real quick. It does not take that long to put these together whatsoever. And then the back one here is the potato soup. I'm just stirring it in. That cream of mushroom soup will melt in there, and it will be delicious. All right, then in the back, the potato soup, we add a little bit of instant mashed potato flakes to it. That thickens the soup up. You don't have to. Some of my kids like it thicker, some like it thinner. It just helps thicken it up so it's not just watery. It just makes it creamier, a creamier consistency. I used to use instant potato flakes for a lot of the soups instead of using the butter and flour to thicken it. Yeah, even the cheesy broccoli one back in the day. So now we just use it for the potato soup, but that works really good. It will thicken it up. Just add it slowly. You think, like start by adding a half a cup to it and then stir it, let it sit for a minute because it will absorb it, and then see what it looks like, and then add more if you think you need to add more to it. And this is perfect. Just keep checking and stirring them. And again, in between doing your stirring of your soup, go and wash some dishes. Clean up your countertops. It'll be real simple and easy. And then your kitchen will be clean. You won't have a mess except for the pots and bowls for soup. Check in that one, make sure it's not boiling over. Here we go. This is it. Less than 20 minutes later, it's all done. Here is the chicken noodle soup. Look at that. A nice, thick, hearty soup. Does anybody else like hearty? I like a hearty soup. That is delicious. Nice and steaming hot. That's really, really good. Simple and plain chicken noodle soup. The next one we're gonna do is the broccoli soup. I didn't film it, sour cream in here. You can also add a meat in here. Sometimes we add ham or bacon bits to it. I just did not have any in hand, so I didn't add it. So we just did potato soup. Very, very good. It's a delicious soup. I've been making this one for a long, long time, and everybody really likes this one. So you can add bacon bits to it, ham to it, and that's a really good addition. And it's just yummy, delicious. And the sour cream in it is really, really good. And this is probably our ultimate favorite, is the cheesy broccoli soup. Definitely gets eaten up real quick in our home. Like Panera, yeah, no, we've got it like surpassed. It's just so, so good. And like I said, you can use an immersion blender and puree it out so that you have it a little bit more smoother, but that is so, so good. So these soups freeze so well. The one I would not recommend freezing would be the chicken noodle, but what I would recommend is making the broth with the veggies and the chicken and then freezing that. And then all you gotta do is add the noodles. Noodles don't do super well unless they're really hearty noodles. You can freeze ones, they just have to be thicker. Think of like the corkscrew ones. Those would be really good, probably would freeze better, even like a bow tie. I just don't know if you want that in your chicken noodle soup, but the tinier small ones that I have, they will just get more mealy when you freeze them. So that would be my tip not to, but the cheesy broccoli freezes beautifully. The potato soup freezes beautifully. It's a very good, if you use fresh potatoes. If you use frozen or canned, it will get very mealy again. But you can also take, if you have that case and you froze them already and you're like, oh, what do I do with this? Blend it up and just make like a very smooth potato soup. There's always a way that you can fix things if you think that you've ruined them to make them suitable for your family to eat. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. 3 soups to make in 20 minutes or less. You can put them away for batch cooking, or you can just make 3 different soups for your family for the entire weekend or for the week. Have those all for lunch and not have to worry about it during the cooler months of fall coming up here. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. You have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you again tomorrow with another video. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye.